I'm 27, still living with my parents. I don't have a career, and every time I try to get momentum, I burn out. I feel like I've wasted all my potential. This isn't a rare confession. It's ripped straight from Reddit threads, online forums, and late-night journal entries you'll never show anyone. Behind the memes about living in your mom's basement is a quiet kind of suffering, an entire generation feeling stuck, ashamed, and terrified that they'll never figure out how to actually grow up. This is what's called failure-to-launch syndrome. I'm Jourdantravers, a licensed psychotherapist, and in this video, I want to strip away the stigma, the jokes, the easy labels, and get to the heart of what's really happening and how to break free from this syndrome. We'll look at the very real causes, and most importantly, I'll walk you through the strategies that can actually help you move from fantasy to reality. So if you've been stuck or love someone who is, stay with me because this is not a dead end. Failure to launch isn't an official diagnosis. You won't find it in the DSM, but it is a recognizable pattern. There are people, often in their 20s or even 30s, who struggle with independence. They're unemployed or underemployed. They live at home far longer than expected. They hesitate to commit to relationships, to careers, to adult responsibilities. And here's the painful twist. Many of them grew up hearing that they had so much potential. Teachers said it, parents said it, friends believed it. You're smart, you're talented, you're going to do something great one day. But that one day never arrives. And here's why. When your identity is built on potential, trying and failing doesn't just feel like failure. It feels like the death of your fantasy self, the person you could have been. So instead of risking that collapse, many stay suspended in possibility, safe in the fantasy and terrified of the real. And if you think this is a new phenomenon, I have news for you. One of the 20th century's most influential psychologists, Carl Jung, called this fantasy-prone personality puer aeternus, Latin for eternal boy. Marie-Louise von Franz, a Jungian psychologist, expanded on this idea, describing adults who live in what she called a provisional life. The provisional life looks like this: endless daydreams about what you could be, imagining your novel winning awards, picturing your startup disrupting industries, fantasizing about the perfect relationship. But when faced with the mundane work, the daily grind, the sacrifice, the responsibility, you collapse or avoid. The puer hates limitation. Commitment feels like death. Responsibility feels like a trap. And so instead of building a real life, the eternal child waits and waits and waits. But why does this happen? Let's break down the major causes, and don't forget to drop us a like and subscribe before we move on. First, helicopter parenting. When parents rush to smooth every obstacle, solve every problem, or rescue from every mistake, kids never learn self-efficacy, the belief that I can handle things on my own. Research shows that helicopter parenting is linked to higher anxiety, lower self-esteem, and less confidence in decision-making. It creates dependency even into adulthood. Second, the challenges of emerging adulthood. The years between 18 and 29 are what psychologists call emerging adulthood. It's a stage full of identity, exploration, instability, and self-focus. But it's also a period with the highest rates of anxiety and depression. Many young adults feel caught in between, not kids anymore, but not quite adults. Society often doesn't offer clear pathways, leaving many feeling lost. Third, learned helplessness. Sometimes failure to launch isn't about never trying. It's about trying repeatedly and failing until you stop believing change is possible. Learned helplessness sets in. Even when opportunities appear, you assume they won't work out. Passivity becomes a default. And last, fourth, the burden of potential. This one's subtle but devastating. When everyone tells you how much potential you have, it becomes safer to never test it. Because the moment you try, you risk finding out that you're ordinary. Potential is intoxicating. It allows you to live in fantasy, but the longer you cling to it, the harder it becomes to take the leap. Let's linger here because it's crucial. Potential feels like a gift, but it can also be a prison. And when you're young, potential is infinite. You could be a writer, an engineer, an entrepreneur, an artist. The world tells you you can be anything. But by your late 20s, that window narrows. Potential hardens into pressure. You look around and see friends who are actually doing it. Suddenly, your potential feels less like a compliment and more like an indictment. Why haven't you lived up to it? And so many avoid trying altogether, because if you don't try, the fantasy of greatness still lives. But if you try and fail, it dies. This is why so many stay frozen, protecting the dream version of themselves while avoiding the reality test of adulthood. And here's the hard truth. You won't wake up one day and suddenly become a fully functioning adult. Recovery happens in small, deliberate, and often uncomfortable steps that slowly build momentum. And if you're caught in this cycle, you've probably been waiting for motivation to come first. But motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. And here are 4 actions that you can take to start building your life up again. Number 1, graduated responsibility building. Think of it like strength training. You don't walk into the gym and bench press 300 pounds on day 1. You start with the bar. Maybe it's cooking your own meals 3 nights a week. Maybe it's setting a budget for the month and sticking to it. The point is to start small, but to stay consistent. Over time, each small action becomes proof to your nervous system that I can handle this. I am capable. I'm not as fragile as I thought. Number 2, boundary setting. If you've grown up in a home where your parents always stepped in, covering your mistakes, cushioning every fall, it's easy to believe that life is something that just happens to you. But adulthood requires you to feel the consequences. Boundaries are what makes that possible. Parents need to stop rescuing, and you have to stop outsourcing responsibility. That means if you oversleep and miss work, you face the fallout. If you spend all your money, you feel the discomfort of scarcity. Natural consequences are not punishments. They're reality knocking at the door. And the sooner you learn to live inside that reality, the sooner you'll grow. Number 3, mindfulness and self-compassion. One of the hidden engines of failure to launch is shame. The deep belief that you've wasted your potential, that everyone else is moving ahead while you're stuck. That shame makes you want to avoid, escape, and retreat into fantasy. But research shows self-compassion, not self-loathing, is what actually moves people forward. This means when you mess up, you speak to yourself the way you would a struggling friend. You stumbled, yes, but you're still moving. You're still worthy. Try again. That small shift quiets the perfectionism that keeps you paralyzed and allows you to face life as it is, not as the fantasy in your head. Number 4, financial independence. Money is one of the most common anchors that keeps people trapped in failure to launch. If your parents are paying your rent, your phone bill, your food, it's comfortable, but it also keeps you dependent. The path out is gradual, not overnight. Start with partial contributions. Cover your own groceries, pay your own phone bill, save a small emergency fund. Independence isn't just about freedom, it's about dignity. Every dollar you earn and manage yourself becomes evidence that you are capable of standing on your own 2 feet. And last, number 5, identity integration. Remember that Jungian idea of the puereternus? Well, that internal child doesn't have to be killed off. That playful, creative, imaginative part of you is a strength, but it has to be balanced with the archetype of the senex, the wise elder who values discipline, patience, and grounded responsibility. Integration means learning to keep both alive. You can pursue a career path, pay your bills, and show up consistently without losing your sense of wonder. Adulthood doesn't mean abandoning your spark. It means learning how to carry it responsibly, so it fuels your life rather than keeps you locked in fantasy. Failure to launch isn't proof that you're broken. It's proof that you've been caught in a developmental delay, stuck between the safety of potential and the weight of reality. What matters is not how late you begin, but that you begin at all. Some lives unfold early, others take shape later, but each one carries its own texture and wisdom. The task isn't to become someone extraordinary in the eyes of others. It's to become someone reliable, present, and capable in your own life. You don't have to destroy the dreamer in you. You only have to teach the dreamer how to live in the real world, how to carry both responsibility and imagination in the same hands. And if you're watching this and you feel stuck in that in-between place, I want you to know that you don't have to walk through it alone. And working with a therapist can help you untangle the shame, rebuild confidence, and take those first concrete steps towards independence. I'm Jourdantravers. I'm the clinical director at Awake Therapy. Thank you for being here with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.